I'm Jess, Crazy Mother Runner. In Virginia, I find that I get caught up in a particular subject. So the next 3 to 4 videos will be about that same subject because it's a combination of whether it be reply to comments or I feel like I didn't say everything that needed to be said. Obviously, for example, the most recent event is the Michigan shooting in Oxford at the Oxford school, which is, a tragedy. But I think it was harder for me sometimes, one, having kids, school age kids in all 3 levels of education from, elementary, middle, and high, to also being in the education system and kind of seeing from the other side, from the administration side, from the side that has to battle parents like these parents probably were. And so I know some people were like, one person who is a follower of mine literally said to me, "Why are you simping or something so hard for the administration?" And I'm like, it's not about simping for the administration. It's the reality that the more I find out about these parents, the more I find out that I feel that with the exception of a possible search, which again, that may have been something that they would have refused. They were there in the building. It's not a situation where parents weren't present and they had a concern. It was the fact that they had parents in the building. They had a student that was manipulating guidance counselors in the situation and telling people what they wanted to hear. And so outside of a search, which again, I don't know why that didn't happen or if it was deemed not warranted, if they had sent him home, they had suspended him, which everyone seems to think this is, someone should get a suspension on a first time offense, because that's really what this was for him. I mean, he had 0 behavioral issues, no history of, issues with administration or being called into the office. But let's say they sent him home, his parents weren't going to take anything serious. So who's to say when he returned 2 days, 3 days, whatever, that not only would have happened, but maybe it would have happened at an even worse scenario because he would have had more time to think on it. I mean, I'm just frustrated that, we are so busy wanting to blame the school and not acknowledge where the root cause is, which is, why does a 15-year-old have access to a gun? I mean, that's period, point blank, end of story. Why does he have parents that are enabling not only his, behavior, but giving him a green light to do so? And it's like, we need to be worrying about kids having guns in their hands, not, putting all of this blame on the administration when, I don't know, I see, especially from the GOP, where they're trying to literally take power from schools and give it all to the parents. And then we want to blame the schools. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Right.
So either you give the administration the power to do what they need to do to protect the children, and to the parents be damned, or you accept the fact that you're giving parents too much power and too much, leeway, and then bad shit can happen because you're trusting the parents to do the right thing, which we've seen in very real time that people are getting further and further away from doing the right thing.
The laws need to be revisited in every single state. And the fact that not one congressperson has they wanted to go with the background checks. It's all about what new things can we do. The old ones are not working. It doesn't matter.
No.
The old ones doesn't matter. Forget the background checks. That's just not going to happen unless we vote in so many people in 22 and 24 that the onus is on us. And I'm including you in this circle of guilt that it's all we're responsible for keeping democracy alive. I feel the people that I know, that you've connected through TikTok, that I know that I feel really amazing about. And I think cumulatively, we have millions of followers, that we can have the kind of organized impact that we need to have, so that we didn't just waste this past 2 years finding our voice, finding people who really appreciate us. And I'm sure, like you have it even more than me, people that respect our point of view and thank us.
That's why I'm really pushing for universal gun laws, not state to state level, because that's a big issue that is really failing us as a nation. But the number one is we need a gun registry, because the reality is, if people know that if they are registered, if their name is tied to their weapon, And if that weapon is used in a crime, they are going to be held accountable, even if they are not the ones that pulled the trigger. If there is, laws in place that state if your weapon that is assigned to you is used in a crime, you will be criminally liable. That is going to completely not eradicate, but change the way gun owners take care of their weapon, how they store it, how they secure it. Because the reality is you're going to be a lot more vigilant to make sure that someone else isn't going to, put you in a legal issue because you weren't careful about securing your weapon.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's top on the list. And then I also think that there should be mandatory gun safety, at least one mandatory gun safety course and one type of just basic mental health screening and then of course a 15 to 30 day cooling off period. I think all of those need to be universal in place. We're not taking guns out of your hands, but we're making sure the right people have them.
I like the registry idea because it's like driver's license vibe.
Right.
And people.
But I also think there needs to be law backing it, saying the liability issue. Not only are you registered, but if something happens with your gun because you didn't make the conscious effort to secure it, that's on you. We need to be, I said this before, we need accountability culture, and we're not seeing that. We're seeing people take advantage of slacks laws and white supremacy and a systemic racist judicial system. We're not seeing the accountability that we need.
I don't understand how there's no accountability for everything that's wrong that the GOP does and says.
But we need people like me, people that look like me and have the mindsets like me, to kind of pound the pavement in our communities, and step up and work the elections and work the polling places and make people feel safe, because I think that's a big factor right now. I mean, we are watching white supremacy on full display, threatening and putting fear into people from just doing what's right. They I don't know, I've already reached out to my locale to be a volunteer at the polling station, and then again I applied to oversee ballot counting as well. So I'm hoping that we just get more people that do that, that actually care about democracy and are not, on the wrong side of the tracks.
Well, that's all going to be part of this initiative that we're doing over the next 11 months. The next 11 months is going to determine a lot of who we are as Americans, whether I'm living in this fucking country or not.
I hear you. I know my husband jokes all the time, we could move to Denmark. Okay, let's go.
I lived in Mexico twice. It was only for a month, but it was so amazing. The people are so lovely, but whatever. I don't know. We'll see.
I went to Denmark for 2 weeks and I never wanted to leave. Okay. Because same thing. It was
it's so beautiful there too.
It's just beautiful there. It's everything's a walking street. They're almost kind of they're almost their own little island. I mean, they really are 3 little islands connected by a bridge, but everyone's happy. The everything closes at 6 every day of the week. Family is kind of front and it's just, I don't know, they just do shit right. Free healthcare, those things.
I lived in Amsterdam for 2 years, so that whole part of the world I just find just a simpler. They're complex and beautiful and sophisticated and uber design, fashion-y and all that stuff. But what makes those countries so amazing is that their governments finance individuals' creative interests. If you're a fashion designer or an architect or an artist, the government provides funds for just about, if you can put together a good enough pitch, they will give you coin.
They will get behind you. I think that's why conservatives hate, and I'm not trying to make a dig at conservatives. It's going to sound like a dig, but I sometimes think that's why conservatives are so against this idea of a socialist society, because the reality is you have to be the concept is that you can be free to do and express yourselves and make what your life you want it to be, So like happiness, like it's like the idea of just doing whatever you want, I think scares the shit out of a lot of conservatives. You know what I mean? Like not even that, not having the ability to find a creative outlet. Like maybe that's something that they struggle with. Like they don't, you know what I mean? I
Well,
love the idea that you
I
could
I have a
live your best
theory.
life.
I have a theory about this that was told to me, and I've carried it ever since. As why? Because the Puritans came here. They were very not. They were like religious, very simple. Like a table is very like a piece, three pieces of wood,
Yeah.
very kind of simplistic. And what they didn't love about the countries that they came from, whether which was opulent, or whether it was England or France. I mean, the beauty and the architecture and the detail and the costuming and the clothes, like that kind of freaked them out because they didn't have that outlet. You were mentioned a while back that you were thinking of running into politics. Are you putting that on hold for this
So
year?
I'm looking at 2023, and I'm probably leaning. I was originally leaning towards the Board of Supervisors, um, which sounds amazing. However, I don't know if my exact district will be up for grabs in 2023. I think it's going to be another 2 years. So with that in mind, I might actually run for one of the delegate positions at local Congress, like a local, legislation. So yeah, I'm looking to do that. I will probably start ramping up campaigning middle to latter part of next year because Virginia's really funny. You can't basically do anything until the January of the election year. I mean, nothing. Yeah, it's so, which I'm like, how do these people get backing? Now, if it's on a federal level, you're registering through the fec.org or whatever. So it's a little different, and you can get campaigning up and running. You can get your name on there. You can register and all of that, years or up to 2 years in advance. But even if you're registered, you can't do the local campaigning and the local registration until January of the election year. So like I was originally looking to run against Whitman, but the more I looked at it, there's a couple of things holding me up. One, my kid's age, and just the idea of being in DC for half the year, which would be really a bit of a test on my husband and the kids. And but the other issue is that district was already incredibly gerrymandered. That's why this man has been in frickin' position, his Congress place for since 2007, and they're redistricting to make it even more gerrymandered. So it would have been a really hard push for me to win. So I feel like this gives me an opportunity to kind of get my feet wet, learn a little bit more at the local politics level, and then maybe by the time I finish that term, Barry and I get it, I can look to the federal level
Right.
the next time it comes up and be a little more prepared and be a little more involved in the community, and hopefully have more of a push. I kind of started to turn away from conservative Christianity and the conservative mindset going through my divorce because my church basically ostracized me. And that was kind of eye-opening. Like they chose their, what's the word? The way they were being perceived
Bullshit.
over me as a person. Yeah, basically. But well, no, it's like, so, I went to my pastor at the time, told him everything my husband had done in our marriage, all of which, even in the eyes of God, was offenses that I could walk away from and not feel remorseful or guilty about. And I was and by the time I finally went for help, because we had like I had my first daughter. Within a year, he had an affair that he kind of, I never really truly confirmed, but I had suspicions. And then after my second was born, about a year later, he had an actual affair that I did confirm. And then same thing happened after for almost an entire year when my third was born. So this was a pattern. And I, at that point, was kind of dead inside. I did not love him. Like I had no love lost. Being in the same room with him made me uncomfortable. I was just past the point of no return. And I went to them and said, I'm at a point now. I want this marriage to end. I want support, but I want to also like heal. Like I want to personally heal. Like I am beyond reproach. I'm broken. Like I just want to build myself back up because I've just literally allowed my self-esteem and self-worth to be decimated for the last 13 years. And initially they were like, absolutely, like we'll support you. We want to, blah, blah, blah. And then one single meeting with his parents. And the next time they brought me in the room, it was with him basically saying, well, we've made the decision that if you're not willing to counsel to fix your marriage, we're not willing to counsel you. So I had to walk away from a church that I had been a part of for, 14 years. Like I said, I was a Sunday school teacher. I was in the choir. So I had to walk away from all of that because this church chose to support an adultery and the family that raised him over me. So that was a big eye-opening moment for me that the church doesn't give two shits about you. They care about their image, and that's more important. Like conservatives are more willing to approach me in a public setting and make assumptions about my political views because of the way I look. And that allows me to get into a conversation that might be uncomfortable, but it's one that might be productive. Like the other day, I randomly added a guy into my live who had the word redneck in his username. So I was like, I'm gonna take a chance and see if he's, So as soon as we got on, and I'm like, hi, and he's like, hi. And I said, so are you vaccinated? And of course, the answer was no. And we got into this whole conversation about, and he's saying all the disinformation talking points, and and I was super polite, I was super nice. And he eventually did hang up on me because I felt like he felt cornered at one point, like he couldn't, he really couldn't excuse his reasoning anymore. So he disconnected, and everyone's like, how the hell can you talk to him? I'm like, here's my thing. For 10 minutes, that guy got taken out of his echo chamber. He heard things that he probably never hears on Facebook or on TikTok or on Twitter, whatever methods he uses to get his information. I said, so maybe, just maybe, I planted a seed. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was a waste of 10 minutes. But I'm like, at this point, that's all I can hope for. And as long as looking the way I do and having the voice that I have gives me those opportunities, I'm going to keep taking them, because we're not going to win shit and get anything done if we can't get more minds changed. And I really want more conservatives to recognize that their vote is continuously against their own interests.
They're going to croak from the COVID.
Well, that too.
I've gotten almost thrown off for good because of lives. I've stopped doing lives. Aren't you afraid that you're going to get like trolled off? And
yeah,
no,
okay, so to date, I've only had 2 lives banned. Both of them were 3-hour temp bans for driving, like for having it up while I was driving. I've never been banned from a live.
Really? I was banned
Yeah.
for 2 weeks from a live.
I've never, now I take that back. I've been banned from live, but not because of a live. I've been banned from lives because my account was banned because of other mass reporting BS with my actual videos. But I've never actually been in a live and had myself booted. I've been in lives and had the people I've talked to be booted on a couple of occasions that didn't agree with me. That happened with one particular conservative, and then yeah, I'm trying to think of somebody else. I think I had 2 times where I was talking to a conservative and they got banned while we were talking, but I've never personally been banned.
You do them consistently?
Not anymore. I mean, I've kind of burned some bridges, unfortunately. And there's certain larger conservative creators that hate me so much that their followers won't touch me with a 10-foot pole. And it's funny because I think it's more out of fear that I might, make sense. Like they like to, gaslight me and be like, you just want to be right and talk people like shit and make fun of dead people. And I'm like, nah, you're just afraid to have a conversation with me. Like that's really what it comes down to, because I'm not going to be the normal one that's going to rage, yell, and act a fool. Like I'm going to have a conversation with you, and I think that scares some conservatives to a degree. So, I feel like the only way I'm probably going to have this conversation if I do what I did the other day, literally scroll through my options of live people that have the word patriot or conservative or some nonsense in it,
You go back there and God, that's
and do a random.
you're more daring than me. After that 2-week ban, I was like, ugh. So yeah, you work in the school system, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what was the response that day to what happened in that?
You know what? Not really anything. And that's what's so devastating about it. I feel like if
There
it's
wasn't like
not
a
your,
freak out?
no. So I will tell you something interesting. Couple weeks ago, we haven't had any school shootings per se in even our community, like, or even like adjacent communities. Now Virginia Tech was a big deal. That was really hard on, I think our state as a whole. We also had a pretty devastating shooting that was at a workplace in Virginia Beach a few years ago. I actually went to high school with the man that committed that one. So he actually grew up in the neighborhood my high school was in, and we actually knew each other through acquaintances growing up. But yeah, I feel like, and one of one of the senators talked about this on the floor. I feel like it's become so normalized that unless it's your actual community, it's like just a blip on the radar. And I hate that it's that way. I mean, I was upset about it. I was thinking about it. I'm talking about it. But really, on a whole, we didn't see anything change. But I will say 2 weeks ago, apparently there was another school. So we have a school in our district, JHS. There was another school that was also JHS, but not in our area. It was like, I don't even think it was the state. It might have been like it was either a few cities over or actually a whole state over. I'm not 100% sure, but there was an alert that went out that on the news, and students in the school thought it was about their school and started panicking and texting parents because they thought the threat was for them. And one of the students was my coworker's daughter. And my coworker literally was in tears, started kind of hyperventilating, having a little bit of a panic attack, was getting in the car to drive there. And then on their way there, they realized it was a mistake, but she couldn't, like, she took her student out. Like, it was just so, and that's where we are right now. Like, the idea of that threat is just so unbelievably overwhelming. Just a hint of it, we're rushed, like, we shouldn't,
You're frozen.
in war zones just to get educated. It's crazy to me.
Right.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
am I frozen?
the stuff that, no, it's fine. The stuff that's happening in LA, look, I mean, the thieves, the robberies, the grab and goes, whatever they're calling.
Yeah.
They're walking into restaurants, taking people's
Smash and grabs or whatever.
snap and grab, whatever. It's got a
Yeah.
name that's not sticking and needs better PR. But I just, yeah, it's interesting times, which is a Chinese proverb, which is actually not a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also feel like the administration in the White House now needs to be much more aggressively about law and order. And that's what I'm disappointed is that I feel like Kamala should have been the person she was when she was in the Senate, that no nonsense, should have been speaking out
Speak
about
up.
every situation that was related to law and order. Because let's face it, if Trump was in the White House when this whole thing happened with the kid, he'd be on TV the whole day. Yeah, law and order, get those people down, sheriff. We're so focused on bringing people things that we're forgetting about the fact that most people are so afraid to walk out of the street because you don't know if
What's
smash
gonna
and grab
happen?
whatever or a gun.
Get run over, ambushed in the streets, or
Yeah,
shot because someone's having a bad day.
I just think this White House needs to sound a lot more butch. It's not butch. It's just
No.
not butch. It's not butch. And she could be like, really, I'm giving this is one of the first things I'm telling the DNC. Like, you've got to get her out on television. You got to get her talking about what she knows best. She was a district attorney. She was a force to be reckoned with. You know what I mean? And she has 11 months to have a presence that everyone can at least not
I know, I
say.
feel like she hasn't been seen at all, like at all.
And I don't
She's
know,
really not stepping out.
or whatever, but that has to change immediately, because 2024 is like in a minute.
I know. Yep. I'm so over their talking points, even on the likes of like CNN, MSNBC. I'm so done with them all. They're not accomplishing shit. They're creating more drama.
No, I mean, I just think that the internet is still a place where there's a holdout to get people like Politics Girl and
Under
V
the yeah.
able to get the messages. But the thing is, Politics Girl's amazing, but it's almost like she's too smart. You know what I mean? She's like too smart. She's so right that it's almost like you're too right. You know what I mean?
She makes too much sense for people. I know.
Too much sense. You know what I mean? And the fact that she makes so much sense is like, you almost, not me, I love that she makes sense, but it was almost like you want to like combat that. You want to challenge somebody that's so right. You know what I mean?
Happy holidays.
I'll see you on the, the gram. Whatever.
I'll see you on the
I
Tiki
adore you.
Talk.
Have a great day.
See you on the Tiki Talk.
Well.
All right.